Welcome back, everybody. This week, as you know, is Veterans Week, and we had the great opportunity to talk to Dick Nelms, a former B-17 World War II pilot. Thank you so much for joining us, Dick.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
So when and where were you born?
In 1923, I was born in Cleveland, Ohio.
And growing up, did you always know you wanted to be a pilot?
Pretty much. When you think that when I was born, World War I had only been over five years. Mm-hmm. And as a youngster, when we'd hear an airplane, we'd run out, airplane, airplane. Yeah. Yeah, I built models. It was just flying was in my blood right from the beginning.
Was anybody in your family growing up a veteran themselves?
No.
So during the late 40s, as you were graduating high school and America wanted out of the war, did you think that eventually we would have to join?
Once Japan bombed our fleet at Pearl Harbor and we declared war on Japan, yeah, I knew I'd be drafted. Mm-hmm. The only way I could get out of that would be to choose where I wanted to go by enlisting. It couldn't let the draft board decide on where they put you. I wanted to enlist in the Army, Air Force, Aviation Cadet Corps. And I made it and became a pilot.
Do you remember where you were when Pearl Harbor happened?
Yeah, I was in South Carolina, Columbia.
What was your reaction when you heard over the radio that we had been attacked by the Japanese forces?
Well, we were all ignorant about Japan. You know, without TV, all your information came in on radio or newspapers. And everyone I knew said, oh, those Graf's huts in Japan, we'll set fire to those and this war will be over in two weeks. Nobody understood that Japan had really built up a huge army and navy.
Yeah. So when did you go into the service?
See, I was 19. It was 1943.
Where did you attend basic training at?
In, we didn't call it basic at the time, but it was in Montgomery, Alabama. And I was living in Columbia, South Carolina at the time. We had, for 5 weeks of basic training, basic, where it had nothing to do with flying, actually flying, but learning navigation, learning weather, all these things that did have an impact on your flying ability. And then from there on, it was primary, and then basic, and then advanced.
And then do you have any specific moments that you recall from flight school?
Yeah, when I soloed. It was a hurry-up thing. They had to have pilots. I soloed at 6 hours. And so many guys did not do that. We lost half of our primary training group. The instructors would say, we can teach them how to fly, but not soon enough. And I think they had to solo by 8 hours, or wash out is what they call it. And I got in at 6 hours.
And then after that, you went to England.
Well, after going through primary, and then basic, you get a heavier airplane. And then advanced, you get a final airplane with everything on it. Then they assigned me to B-17. And we trained in the United States for in North Texas for about 9 weeks. And then flew over to the UK. Had a 10-man crew at that time.
What was your reaction when you heard you'd be sent overseas?
Well, I knew I was going. And I was, at that time, a lot of us were ignorant. I was happy I was going over in England and fight the Germans. But the ones that went to the Pacific and fought the Japanese had it a lot better. Much not bad anti-aircraft, but not too accurate. The Germans had been doing it for 5 years, and their anti-aircraft was good. Their pilots were good. The first 8th Air Force is what I'm saying how great it was. The first 8th Air Force guys that went there, as far as I've been able to figure, the 8th Air Force was the first arm of the United States fighting Germany. No infantry or anything, just that group of 8th Air Force. And they really caught it bad.
Yeah.
They were losing 50% casualties. And when I say casualties, I mean gone. And we didn't have enough fighter escort at the time or anything. So when we got some pretty good fighters over there that could engage the Luftwaffe, in 1944 is when I went, it was safer. I don't know what our casualty rate was, maybe 25% instead of 50. You're still losing people.
I think I read that only 25% of B-17 pilots actually made it to 25 missions.
They actually did one?
Made it to 25 missions.
That was the first group. Yeah. They were supposed to do 25, and the average was 15.
Yeah.
In fact, the Memphis Belle was the first one to do 25 missions. And it was so unusual that the King and Queen of England went to their Air Force base and congratulated them. Imagine that. Yeah. I'm glad I wasn't older in that group. I may not be here talking to you.
Yeah. What do you remember about your first mission?
Well, they didn't let us go all by ourselves. In other words, we had a 10-man crew. We did not take those 10 men into the sky at first. We replaced our position on a veteran crew. And I didn't know any of the guys. I actually went co-pilot, and everything went fine. I was doing what I was supposed to do, and we got over the target, and black puffs of smoke started coming up, and anti-aircraft fire, 88 105 millimeter cannon shells. And I said, well, this is not Hollywood. I did get scared, but it gets your attention.
Yeah.
And when one's close, the plane bounces in it. And yeah, it wasn't too bad.
How did you overcome fear?
That's a good question. It had to be overcome.
Yeah.
I often answer that by giving a situation that happened. We're flying in an 18 aircraft formation. And I'm out here on number 3, lead 2, 3. And a shell burst couldn't have been more than 100 feet in front of us. So when it burst, it was stationary, and we're going at about 200 miles an hour actual ground speed. Not fast, but we're there immediately. And the plane bounced, and you could hear pieces of steel tearing holes into the aluminum skin of your airplane. And that's a sound we never got used to. It's a sound you just can't duplicate. And my brain said, wow, if that had gone off a second later, I'd be on my way down. This may be the day I don't go home. All of that. I forced myself to say, isn't it great that thing went off when it did? Everything's okay.
Yeah.
So you have two things to choose from. They're both true. One's going to keep you under control. The other's going to maybe get you into pretty deep fear, and you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember, there's 9 guys behind you counting on you to do the right thing in case you really do get into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't, pilots just can't allow themselves to be fearful.
Mm-hmm.
If it happened, they would send them home. They didn't belong there, in other words.
Mm-hmm. What were the briefings like for missions?
Well, we would have eaten breakfast and go to the briefing room,
Mm-hmm.
and it'd be about 76 of us. That you'd have your bombardier, navigator, and 2 pilots of every crew of 18 aircraft. And the CO would come out. We'd all jump to attention. He'd say, "As you were, gentlemen." And they'd bring out this bulletin board on wheels, and it would be covered. And they'd pull the curtain away, and a ribbon would go from us to the target.
Mm-hmm.
And if we didn't know where it was, we didn't say anything. But when it went to Berlin, everybody would say, "Oh, no."
Mm-hmm.
Berlin was a bad target.
Yeah.
But they told us where we were going, why, generally, what kind of bombs we'd be carrying, the weather forecast,
Mm-hmm.
and the position each one of us would be flying in an 18 aircraft formation.
Mm-hmm.
And trucks would be waiting outside. We'd climb aboard. They'd take us to our plane that were stationed in the perimeter of the field. We'd get off, get on the airplane. Am I going too far?
No, no.
And go through a pre-flight cockpit check.
Mm-hmm.
See, our ground crew had already gone through the airplane. They'd warmed everything up and done it right. We double-checked that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start up the engines, check them out, the magnetos and everything. If everything was fine, give the ground crew the signal to pull out the chocks in front of the wheels, release the brakes, and taxi on out to a takeoff runway where the group leader would be there poised, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
We all get lined up, and he'd be waiting for a signal from the tower. And at a definite time, the tower would shoot a flare, and the lead aircraft would take off. And we'd follow about every 10 or 15 seconds. You had to let the prop wash die down. You didn't want to go to bump. And get in our position. And when everything was set, we'd be climbing at the amazing speed of 1,000 feet a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Boy. Well, first, we're loaded down. Let's say we can have 8,000 pounds aboard, usually 500-pound general purpose bombs, and carrying 3,600 gallons of gasoline, 3,600 gallons, 100 octane, 13 50-caliber machine guns, 4 radial engines, supercharged, and 10 men. And that airplane got heavy. And take off one at a time, climb, head out over the North Sea. Now, before D-Day, we would be traveling over Normandy. I beg your pardon. We'd be traveling over the Netherlands. I knew it started with an N. And when we reached the Europe coast, we started getting anti-aircraft fire because the Germans had that occupied.
Yeah.
And it would be sparse and not very accurate, but a precursor of what we're going to do later on. And I better let you ask another question. I could keep going.
So I saw you participated in Operation Overlord.
Yeah.
What was the briefing like for that, knowing that it would be this full-scale invasion of Europe?
Well, the heavy bombers really didn't have much to do in that. They went over to bomb ahead of our troops, the weather was probably the worst day that happened there for a long time. And undercast, down low, we couldn't go below that. And so what do? Do you drop your bombs not knowing whether our troops had gone that far or not? No. We brought our bombs back. And I think the next day we could do better, but the briefing, our commanding officer came out and he said, now, I want everybody to listen very carefully. When I announce the mission today, I don't want to hear any whoopee or loud statements. It's called Operation Overlord. We are invading Europe. Not a sound. Because you don't know who might be a spy.
Yeah.
And that was to not let anybody know ahead of time what was going to go on. But yeah, it was not very much like the 4 guys on the ground. They were losing, what, 2,000 some odd? Yeah. I do have one story, though. 2 days, that was June 6, 44. I and a few other aircraft groups were instructed to fly up to Pas-de-Calais on the northern coast of France and take out some large bore anti-aircraft guns, coastal guns, not anti-aircraft. And we did, came back, went the next day. This was the 5th of, the second day was the 5th of June. And of course, none of us knew what the 6th was going to be. Went there and did it again. And we wondered what it was all about. Later we found out that we were telling Hitler that's where the invasion was going to be, up there, not Normandy, way in the south. And of course, even when it went to Normandy, he had instructed tanks and troops and guns and everything to go up to Pas-de-Calais. And when Hitler made the decision, you couldn't tell him it was wrong. But it saved a lot of our lives. If that somebody had a good idea that if it hadn't happened, that invasion may not have worked. May have been very, very bad. But everything seemed to fall in line correctly.
Yeah. What were the main targets on your missions?
I tell anything that kept Hitler waging war. My favorite target was oil refineries, because everything worked on gasoline, see? And not only that, but you couldn't miss the target. We'd be at almost 5 miles up. And even though we had a excellent bomb site, you didn't know what the gradient winds were going to be on the way down. Sometimes they'd blow in opposite directions. Maybe no wind. You didn't know. But we would go on in, and here sits the oil refinery with huge storage tanks all the way around it. Thousands of gallons of gasoline. Wow. And let's say we're the first group to go over with the bombs, start fires and scatter things around. The group behind has thermite and magnesium, if you know what that is. Thermite you cannot distinguish. You light it, put it underwater, it's going to burn until it burns out. And they would really light it up like a torch. And we can't see all this happening because they got a huge wing out here, you know. But when we turn and head back west, you can look down and say, yeah, all that black smoke coming up. It not only meant we hit a target of precious gasoline, it meant fewer submarines. Not the next day, but the next month. Fewer tanks, fewer trucks, fewer Luftwaffe coming up and trying to shoot us down.
What memorable experiences do you have through all your missions?
Say it once more.
What memorable experiences do you have through all your missions?
Oh, in other words, what were my worst missions? I have two. One I don't talk about anymore because it was a good friend blowing up in front of me. But the other would be Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Berlin twice. The second time, I don't know what happened, but I think we were in the jet stream, not knowing what it was. And it was what they call a maximum effort, where it had almost all of the 8th Air Force going to the same target.
Mm-hmm.
But hitting different targets around the greater Berlin area that were making things that were helping Hitler. And so when we started down the bomb run and got close to the city, the flak started coming up. And we were told, just told, no proof, but that the greater Berlin area had over 2,000 anti-aircraft guns. If you can imagine 2,000 guns shooting at you and exploding right in front of you, on the side, up above. And it was a bad mission by us. We dropped our bombs, and we knew we were getting hit a lot. The plane was bouncing, and you could hear that flak coming through the plane, different pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I have some here if you want to see it.
Sure.
This is my last piece. I had a whole bunch of it. Gave it away. This piece almost killed me.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
Now you can see that's 88 millimeter.
Wow.
And they would, this stuff like this in different sizes and shapes would come off that explosion and go right through your airplane.
Yeah.
And this was stuck behind my neck.
Wow.
On a piece of armor plating. And so I keep that.
Yeah.
If that armor plating hadn't been there, we wouldn't know each other.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah.
But anyway, even we would switch back and forth, the first pilot and the pilot. They call them co-pilots, but they stopped that because it wasn't fair. Anyway, we knew we were getting hit. You could hear it. And all 4 engines were still going, so that was the important thing. The wings were still on. But even when I wasn't flying, I looked up ahead. I could see some groups up ahead with B-17s going down. I counted 5 of them. When we got back and asked how many were lost, they said 48 B-17s. And that might not have been true because they changed that to 38 and also B-24s. And then when it went to print, it was 24. So in between there somewhere was the truth.
Yeah.
Anyway, we started counting the holes in the plane. Got tired of counting at 300 holes in that airplane. Nothing vital had been hit, including the crew. And they had to take it out of operation. They patched the holes, but by the time you flew it, those little patches were about 1/8 of an inch thick. And the air rushing against that slowed the plane down. It dragged. And you'd have to increase your power to stay with the formation, come home without any fuel. And so they take it out of commission, put WW on the vertical stabilizer for war weary, and use it as a taxi.
Yeah.
So I could say that was my worst because of the damage and the time it took and and the effort you made just to stay unafraid.
Yeah.
You know, you can't prevent from being scared a little bit. You know, always some apprehension. And when you took off, even what they call milk runs over the France and back, when the Germans were still in control of some airfields over there, you didn't know you were going to come back. Always that little bit of apprehension. And it came with the job. People say, oh, big hero. No, 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 no. I say, how about window washers on a skyscraper? They're up there swinging around in the air. They're taking danger with them when they go up. And it was the same thing with us. We took danger with us. And that's the way it was. And we had missions. Out of my 25, out of my 35, 25, we came back with holes in the airplane. And the other 10, some we didn't even get shot at. And others we had an escort that kept the Luftwaffe away. And no, I would not know what reason. We just didn't get a lot of anti-aircraft fire. But and my experience was pretty much true with all of the guys. We just didn't allow ourselves to be terrified. Couldn't do it.
What was your last mission like?
The last one wasn't bad at all. It was to Reagan's, I think, and I forgot what we were hitting. Probably an airfield. And usually airfields didn't have a lot of protection, but it was okay. But you know, part of what I'm talking about, I'm forgetting that's kind of important. When you'd fly over the target, you'd come from the IP, the initial point, to the bomb runs. And when they'd start firing, you have your Nazi gunners on the ground that had figured your altitude with rangefinders and radar supported. And they would also figure, if you're here, no, I'm getting ahead. They know that their shells will go up at 1,000 feet a second. And if we're at 25,000 feet, when they fire, it takes 25 seconds for that to get to us. And then it explodes. When they would figure our altitude, they'd also include our speed. So if we're here, where are we going to be in 25 seconds? And that's the thing that they'd want. A B-17 and one of their shells bursting at the same spot in the sky at the same time. And they'd come awfully close. And I hate to say sometimes too close. But yeah, and we'd have, the radio man would have a little chute in his window, just a little thing that you could put your hand through. And we'd start over the target, and the lead aircraft, no talking except him. He'd say, rainy day, rainy day. And I'd say, Nelson. He'd say, yeah, rainy day. Oh, goody, he'd say. He has bundles of chaff, like tinfoil that you throw on your tree. And he'd throw these bundles out. When they hit the wind, they'd burst. And the chaff would come down and mess up their radar. See, it would really blind the radar. And not just for us, for the guy behind us too. All of us would do that. So little things like that became pretty important. But we tried to make a joke of it. Another mission that I could talk about was to Leipzig, to take out a Messerschmitt aircraft assembly plant. And we got there and started on the bomb run, and instead of seeing the flak come up, it came up right underneath me. The plane bounced, a loud roar, unexpected. It scared me. And I shook my head and I said, well, this is a little bit different. It took me about 15 seconds where I became kind of ashamed of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I started talking to myself. Of course, we have oxygen masks on. Nobody can hear it unless you punch the button for talk. And I'd say, now, cut this stuff out. You're here to be one of these guys that can make a difference in this war. Quit it. Stop it. And pretty soon, I made myself angry.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, the flak was coming up all around. And the shell burst out here about maybe a couple hundred feet, a little high. We call it 11 o'clock high. And some of the concussion hit us. A couple pieces came through the plexiglass nose. And I leaned over and I said, "You missed me."
Yeah.
In my oxygen, I knew that wasn't going to shorten the war.
Yeah.
But you're up there feeling like a wood duck in a carnival shooting gallery. Mm-hmm. And you just want to throw something at them. And it kind of settled me down a little bit. Mm-hmm. Then I called the ball turret. I said, "Art, are you okay?" Mm-hmm. He said, "Yeah, but can you be a little more careful up there?" The radio man also, just above the explosion, said, I'm okay too, in case anyone's interested." They're cracking jokes and we're getting shot at.
Yeah.
That's the kind of crew I had. But yeah, those are two or three that I recall. Others pretty much the same. You know, you try to eat breakfast. They wake you up at 3 or 3:30 in the morning. I didn't tell you about that. The CQ, the charge of quarters. You'd be asleep. Like, let's say it's 3:30 in the morning. The door would open, the light would come on, and he would say, "Up and at 'em, fly boys. Rise and shine, off your back and out of the sack." And we would one morning, our bombardier threw his shoe at him. He wasn't trying to hit him, it went skidding across the floor. But when he walked out, he says, "I hope your accuracy improves somewhat later today."
Yeah. How did you spend your time on leave in England?
How did you do what?
Spend your time on leave in England.
Off-duty time?
In England, yes.
Oh, it would be either going to London or any place we wanted to. And I'd go to Cambridge. I went to Cambridge a couple of times. That was exciting for me, all by myself. There's Cambridge University, the entrance. A big thing over said, "Established 1222." Imagine, that university started in 1200. So different than the United States.
Yeah.
And people would always say, "Thank you for your service," you know. But London, we'd often go there as a crew. Would split up when we get there, go to different hotels. It was, first of all, I was 21. Almost all the guys were in their 20s. Our brains still had a couple of years to go before it matured. We would go to London where they were having attacks. They call them buzz bombs, V1 robot bombs. And you're familiar with that? They had launched 2,000-pound bombs with wings. And with a little, what they call a pulse jet up on top that would keep it moving in the air. They'd launch it with a couple of rockets. from some secret base in either France or Germany to London.
Yeah.
Have it worked so it would run out of gas over London. And it would run out of gas, it would go 45 degrees. It could be hitting a church, a school, a hospital. They didn't care.
Yeah.
The V stood for vengeance. It did not stand for victory like we used it.
Yeah.
And I was there once, and one of them hit about a block away. And oh boy. Motorcycle guy. So tell your film that's not airplane.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, and it would be interesting, Lyndon. I had a pretty good singing voice at the time.
Oh yeah.
And Hyde Park is where the people would come. They'd call it soapbox orators. They'd have a box or something, or a ladder. They'd get up and start saying what they felt about everything. And they also had people from Wales, choirs that would sing. And I was in the hotel across the street, Cambridge, and I heard the singing and the going on over there. I said, oh, I've got to get over there. And they were singing hymns. Of course, I didn't know the words, but some of the music I remembered. So I kind of moved on the edge and started singing the tenor part. And pretty soon I had somebody put their arm around me. It was a big Welsh guy, you know. And they took me right on in as a participant. It was a lot of fun.
When did you come back home to the United States from England?
I have a good story about that. When it was time to come home, I got on the Queen Elizabeth with another 2,200 and some odd men, and headed off for New York.
Yeah.
Very rough trip, 30-foot waves. And the ship would change course about every 30 seconds. It would take that long for a submarine to sight on it and release a torpedo. So about either 30 or 25 seconds, it changed course. I came back again. When we got to New York Harbor, I say no brass bands, no parades, no confetti or anything like that. But when we saw the Statue of Liberty, it took care of all that. I got off, of course, and was standing at a bus stop waiting for a bus to come from Camp Shanks to take me out there. And there were a couple of us. A paper boy came up. He couldn't have been more than 8 years old. And New York had lots of little kids selling papers. And he said, "Paper, mister?" And I had a duffel bag on this shoulder carrying another bag here. And I said, I can't read. He said, "Well, you can look at the pictures. Ain't it, you big shrimp, you?" My welcome to the United States.
Yeah.
I'm a big shrimp, you. And at the time, if he'd left out that big shrimp, I think I'd have given him a nickel or two. But I'll never forget that. Lots of times that's when I finish my storytelling.
Is it all right if I ask you a few more?
Yeah.
So where were you when you learned Hitler died?
I was back home. Yeah. Yeah, see, unlike today, when we did our tour, at that time 35 missions, we could come home. It would be no more than 6 months. I finished my tour in a little over 5. And there'd be another crew to replace. And it wasn't like being a paratrooper or something, and going back about every 6 months and doing it over again. But I was home. I was still, I think I was squadron duty officer at the Liberal, Kansas at the time. Well, squadron commander of the mechanics squadron. And the news of the war ending and Hitler dying came pretty much the same time. And we were all combat tuned and everything. We didn't jump up and down and say hooray, hooray, hooray. Mm-hmm. And we just smile at each other and say, no more rationing. we can buy more gas than 15 gallons a month now. Mm-hmm. No, we were happy about it.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever think you'd be sent to Japan to finish the war?
I volunteered to go to Japan. That's part of my story. They accepted me, but I had to go through B-26 transition first. Mm. Now, see, I was flying 4-engine with a tail wheel. The B-26, 2 engines and a nose wheel. So I had to check out on that. And the 26 was much hotter and faster. And I did, went right through it. Just about the time they were going to send me to A-26 transition, which was a brand new low-level twin-engine bomber with a Gatling gun in the front, where you could fire 20-millimeter cannons like that. And the war ended. It may have saved my life, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, the war was, see, the Europe war was over May 8th of 45. The Japanese war, I think, was something like September 7th or 8th.
September 2nd, yeah.
Of 45. Yeah. So there's that difference. Mm-hmm. We were all glad it was over, be able to come home. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What does Veterans Day mean to you? Veterans
Day?
What does it mean to you?
Well, when I look, it's a funny thing. When I look forward to it, yeah, it's another day and so forth. When it happens, all of a sudden, wow, this is Veterans Day. And I think of some of the guys I knew that were killed, and what I did, and I'm usually doing something. Now, of course, this Veterans Day, you've already heard that I'll be starting the Kraken on a hockey game. Then on Friday, see, this is Tuesday, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I go to Camano Island and talk to 300 people.
Oh, yeah?
It's a big banquet they have every year. Mm-hmm. And I'll do the same thing, give them a talk, pretty much like we're doing, but without questions until I finish. Mm-hmm. And it's almost too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I am the only B-17 pilot that is active. There may be others that are alive, that in wheelchairs and so forth, and I don't doubt that. I hope there is. But I have a friend in Chicago, a very wealthy friend that owns his own Cessna M2 with the twin engines, twin jets. Mm-hmm. And if we go somewhere, he usually takes me, and my son and maybe another person. And he lets me take off and climb. It's all seat of the pants. I can't read the instruments.
Yeah.
I have macular degeneration.
Oh.
I can see you, I can see your face, but if I backed off 10 feet, I couldn't tell who you were.
Yeah.
And I can't read type. It's a nuisance, it really is.
Yeah.
But I still have my sight. And then at 20,000, he has to go on autopilot. And we're still going up. We go up to 40,000 feet and head off to the target, which would be an airfield that I'm going to talk to at about 500 miles an hour. It's a wonderful airplane, but sixth place. I can't land because my eyes. Taking off, it's pretty much pushing the throttles and getting the speed, and then my mind says, this boy should be flying, so come back about 3 inches and it's really exciting. So what else?
And then at the age of 102, what advice would you give to young people about how to live a happy and successful life?
Education. The more you know, the better off you are. Learn what's good for your country and what's bad for your country. We're going through that right now. And love your country. A saying I like that, here again, I forget the poet. You can't give kindness too soon, because you never know how soon it may be too late.
Yeah.
And another one I use, Ralph Waldo Anderson. Another one I use is, the reward for doing a thing well is to have done it, and not wanting a lot of people shouting how good it was or money or anything like that. I like to live by those two things. It's hard to describe the amount of chagrin when you see a B-17 in a downward spin, knowing that soon it and Earth will collide, killing all those that are still inside. The 8th Air Force had suffered terrible losses, almost 30,000 still there under white crosses. That's part of my plan.
Thank you.
It's that
Thank
sort
you
of thing.
for your service. Thank you for
I
meeting with
enjoyed
us
it.
today.
You were very good.
Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you.